Been making content about Christmas playlist pitching for it seems like months now. And I've spent so much time right here in front of this camera with these lights and this whole setup. And I think one of the things I've really found is that it takes a lot of planning and discipline to make it all happen. And there's definitely some days I don't want to. But one thing I found is that if I made things in batches, almost like content sessions, like that would be really helpful. And the other thing what does my set look like? What does my set look like? What does my lighting look like? What's my sound? How many videos am I making? Um, how consistent am I in doing that? What kind of story am I looking to tell? And then what does it look like when somebody actually comes in from, let's say, Instagram or TikTok? Like, what's my plan to connect with them? And one of the things I found is that, TikTok doesn't really have a great, it doesn't really have a great uh, direct message platform. It's really clunky. In fact, you can't put links in there or anything like that. You can put text in there. So the best thing I found on TikTok, if I was going to have a conversation with them, was like direct message them and say, "Hey, email me or call me." Um, and the other thing I found was I talked to a friend of mine who uses TikTok. He actually is goes. His name is Grayson Rogers. I'll put his information down here in the information section of this YouTube video. But Grayson, he's on YouTube Live every day. It's how he makes his income. And one of the things he told me that it's very uncommon on TikTok for users to um, leave a comment. And so the fact that I was getting people to leave comments because my instructions were simple. It was like, if you want a quote for playlist pitching for your Christmas song, leave your artist name and your song title in the comments or send me a direct message. But for the most part, the ones that I found that worked out better were the ones who came in through YouTube or other platforms that had actually gone to my website and filled out the contact us form. So, but again, it all comes down to testing, going through, your funnel, if you will, and figuring out like what do I want? What are the key performance indicators? What's my vision? What are the key performance indicators? And then what are the metrics? How am I going to measure it? And because it's a lot of time, and if you think about this as an artist, you want the same thing, whether it's you're taking out an ad for your new song or you want somebody to subscribe to your email or whatever it is you want. You got to know what your key performance indicators are. It's like, well, I want more listeners. Well, in order to get more listeners, there's steps involved, because if you want to get somebody who's a new fan or a new listener, there's all these different pieces that you got to think about. And I think the other side of this, I had a conversation with an artist yesterday about, you know, what connection does a listener have with your song? Like, what do you want them to feel and relate to? And what content are we making to help them to relate to your music, right? The other part is that when it comes to advertising and when it comes to making content, there's a lot of people says, "Man, I don't want to blow up I don't want to blow up everybody's feed with my content." And I don't think that, unless you've got millions of users, I don't think that that's the problem. I think the problem is you actually need to make more content. You need to treat this thing like what it is, which is really it's a content platform, but it's also it's really in some ways it's an advertising platform, if you will, right? I mean, that's why Facebook and Instagram built it, was because eventually they wanted to turn it into an ad revenue machine. And so um, if you're going to game the gamer, so to speak, game the game, then use it for your own purposes too. The bigger goal is that you don't want just people focusing so much on your content, but you want them to find out who you are. You want them to understand who you are as a brand and make connections, and then you want them to do different things. Like, you want them to listen, You want them to read emails, you want them to go to shows, buy merch, and all those things. It's having a digital marketing plan. So key performance indicators are really important for campaigns, and they're also important, and they're important for everything. They're also important for production, right? And but one of the things I found is, and I was talking to a friend of mine last night over dinner, was that making making things fun. Let's go to this route. Let's make things fun again. If there's one point about this video I want you to get today is that let's make things fun and interesting again. Let's be curious. Let's make sure let's go for a walk, drink some coffee, get plenty of rest, do whatever you need to do to be fully you. And then let's start having fun again with making music, producing music, marketing music. And maybe that means that, like, instead of, because I think a part of like what a lot of people don't want to be online is that they're worried about making content because they're like, oh, I don't want to look like it, like I don't want to look dumb. It's like it's not about you. This is about you've already overthought it. The point is to use the thing to your benefit, right? And it's the same thing that, like, that you would do before you go to the studio. You do a vocal session. You do what? You do vocal warm-ups. Well, guess what? To make great content, you might have to rehearse. I've got plenty of time in front of the camera. And for that matter, it's like I've been an actor at times. I've been a speaker. I've been a podcaster. I've been a video producer. I've a creative director. I have a whole bunch of things that allows me to know what I need to look like, what I need to sound like, what the lighting needs to look like, what my office looks like, and what my voice needs to sound like. I might have already said that. It doesn't matter. But my point is that, like, don't it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't even really have to be excellent. It needs to happen. And sometimes you might have to rehearse that. You might be the kind of person to be like, man, I'm gonna have to rehearse that and edit it over and over and over again. But the point is you know is having fun and telling a story, and it's the same fun that you can have anywhere. This sounds like a podcast today. Maybe I'm just podcasting. And I'm going to make this into a YouTube video right now, and I'm going to make this into content. I'm going to cut this into clips too, right? Hit me up in the comments or go to my website, grayartistservices.com. And if you're an artist and you find this, you find it engaging, go to my website and fill out the contact form. Love to have a free 30-minute consultation with you. And go to grayartistservices.com. I'm Jim Gray. Have a great day.